Did you know that in 2024 alone, grocery prices in the US jumped nearly 25% on average? The sharpest rise since the Great Depression. And it's not slowing down. Imagine walking into Aldi tomorrow and seeing shelves half empty, with the items you rely on most either doubled in price or completely gone. What would you do? Would you be ready to take care of your family? Or would you be left standing there with an empty cart wishing you had prepared while you still could? I'm not saying this to scare you, I'm saying it because too many people ignore the warning signs until it's too late. Just think back to the baby formula shortage or when eggs nearly hit $10 a dozen. Those weren't random events, they were reminders of how fragile our food system really is. That's why in this video I'm going to reveal 9 essential grocery items you should buy at Aldi right now before the food crisis gets worse. These aren't trendy foods, they're survival staples that could mean the difference between getting through tough times with confidence or being caught unprepared. So stick with me until the very end, because not only will you have a complete list, you'll also learn why these specific items vanish first when panic buying begins. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Item number 1. Rice. Alright, let's talk about rice. The unsung hero of every pantry and the ultimate survival staple. Now, I didn't just pull this out of thin air. According to the USDA's Economic Research Service, rice supplies for 2024-25 are expected to hit a record 309 million hundredweight, which is about 5% higher than last year. That's a lot of rice, but here's the kicker. Nearly all that jump is in long grain varieties, while medium and short grain supplies are actually shrinking down by around. In other words, you're more likely to spot rice in the store than say that fancy grain you like, but when panic hits, even the basics disappear fast. So why is this number-heavy fact important for you? Because in a real crisis storm, supply chain chaos, or inflation, rice is simple, filling, and life-saving. Remember when beans were $3 a can last winter? Pair that with rice and you've got a hearty, affordable meal that goes twice as far. And if fresh meat or veggies go missing, rice stretches what you do have. Leftover chicken becomes dinner for 6 instead of 2. FEMA and preparedness pros always emphasize stocking shelf-stable staples with long shelf life, and rice checks both boxes perfectly. Picture this: trucks delayed, shelves clearing, and neighbors panic buying except you. Your pantry has rice. It isn't just food, it's peace of mind when chaos strikes. But rice alone won't save you, because what happens when protein runs short? Item number 2. Canned beans. You know, there's something so quietly powerful about canned beans in a crisis. Experts say you should stash at least 3 days worth of non-perishable food. And guess what ranks near the top of most emergency recommendations? Things like canned beans, low cost, packed with protein and fiber, and ready straight from the can if the lights go out. During the recent COVID-19 panic, bean sales jumped nearly 20% according to USDA data, because when uncertainty hits, people reach for the simple, dependable staple. Here's what makes them so vital. Each can is a tiny emergency buffet. No cooking needed, no power required, and they can last 2 to 5 years or even longer when stored in a cool, dry plate. That's the kind of shelf life federal nutrition experts call shelf-stable for low-acid canned goods. I'll never forget talking to a family who weathered a week-long blackout. Ice-thawed, perishables spoiled, but their stock of canned beans kept hunger at bay and heads clear when options vanished. Bean chili, bean soup, even beans mashed with a splash of oil. It was enough to stay strong until help arrived. So if you're serious about building smart, practical food reserves, canned beans aren't just an option, they're non-negotiable. Still, there's one item even more versatile than beans, and most people forget it until it's gone. Item number 3. Peanut butter. Let me tell you why peanut butter isn't just a comfort food, it's emergency gold. The USDA recommends keeping calorie-dense, nutrient-rich staples on hand. Peanut butter checks every box. Nutritionally, it's a powerhouse. About 8 grams of protein and nearly 200 calories per 2 tablespoon serving, plus healthy fats and vitamins. When you're facing stretched budgets or supply disruptions, peanut butter stays affordable and accessible. During the early COVID days, U.S. retail sales of peanut butter spiked 75% compared to the previous year. That's a national scramble for this spread. Here's another key point. Its shelf life is surprisingly robust. Unopened jars can last 6 to 9 months in a pantry, and once opened can remain good for 2 to 3 months, sometimes even longer if stored cool. Families with smart pantry routines rotate those jars like clockwork, buying a little extra every trip and using the oldest first. Picture this: the power's out, fresh food is gone, and the kids are scrambling. You reach into your pantry and pull out that smooth jar of peanut butter. A spoonful gives them calories, energy, even a sense of normal. I've heard preppers say it's one of those things you may grab before anything else when SHTF. Bottom line, peanut butter is more than a snack. It's practical, it's comforting, and when supply lines fray, it might just be what keeps you going. But if you think that's versatile, wait till you hear the next item. Most people forget about it until it's vanished entirely. Item number 4. Oats. You might brush off oats as just another breakfast grain, but let me tell you, in a real pinch, oats become absolute pantry gold. The USDA considers grains like oats as shelf-stable essentials, and emergency prep experts point to oats as nutritious, cheap, and versatile staples that can stay fresh for years when stored right. Here's the part that'll give you pause. A Brigham Young University study found that rolled oats stored for up to 28 years were still rated acceptable on taste and texture by human testers, even after nearly 3 decades in a sealed container. That's not just a stat, it's a reminder how long-lasting these humble grains truly are. In practical terms, unopened oats will last 12 to 24 months in a typical pantry, maybe longer in an airtight jar away from heat and pests. But if you repackage them into Mylar bags or airtight containers with oxygen absorbers, ideally you're talking 20 to 30 years of shelf life. Imagine waking up during an extended outage or supply shortage, coffee's gone, stores are empty, and bacon's a distant memory. But you have oat, hot, filling, easy to cook with just water. Oat porridge, oat flatbread, oats blended into smoothies. Suddenly you're nourishing your body and your spirit. So oats aren't optional, they're a survival multi-tool in your pantry. Think beans and peanut butter are flexible. Just wait, the next item is even more surprising, and people always forget it until it's gone. Item number 5. Flour and baking essentials. Alright, let me tell you why flour, yeast, and a few baking staples are honestly like your backup kitchen. FEMA and other emergency guides list baking powder, and yes, even flour, as items that can be stored indefinitely if kept dry and airtight. That's right, flour joins rice and oil in the set it and forget it Gold Star Pantry Club. Think about this, when grocery shelves go bare, and fresh bread forget meat becomes a distant memory, you can still bake your own. A little water, a bit of salt, some yeast, flour, and suddenly you're pulling warm bread or biscuits from the oven. That smell alone can change a panicked house into a place that still feels normal. FEMA even stresses including foods that lift morale and feel familiar. They call these comfort foods. They matter during crises. Here's something real. During the early pandemic panic, flour flew off the shelves faster than many experts expected. But once people understood they could make bread at home, it became a must-have survival food. No electricity? No problem. Bake in a Dutch oven over campfire coals or even in your BBQ. I've talked to families who literally survived days just by stretching a loaf with a little flour and water. Simple, effective, emotionally anchored. So here's the bottom line. If you're stocking your pantry to survive strain on supply chains or emergencies, flour and baking essentials aren't optional. They're a rescue tool wrapped in warm, doughy comfort. Think beans, oats, peanut butter are flexible. Wait until you hear what's next. Most people forget it, until it's gone entirely. Item number 6. Canned vegetables and fruit. Alright, here's the deal. When fresh produce disappears fast during emergencies, canned vegetables and fruit aren't just backup snacks, they're your pantry's lifeline. In 2024, canned fruits and vegetables held a whopping 34.2% share of the entire canned goods market worldwide. That's how much people depend on them, even when prices and supply chains wobble. These shelf-stable cans pack surprising nutrition. The USDA says that canned veggies and meats, when stored properly, can stay safe for 2 to 5 years, and often longer if the can looks intact. That means those cans in your pantry today could still be feeding your family through next decade's unknown. Here's a real-world punch. With steel tariffs raising canning costs and putting up to 15% price hikes on the table, access to affordable canned goods could shrink quickly. It's not hypothetical, it's happening. Picture this. The heat wave hits, fresh produce rots in trucks, and store aisles only mock your grocery list. But you've got canned corn, green beans, peaches, and pineapple, ready whenever you are. They turn empty days into workable meals. They're comforting when chaos sets in. So if you're serious about building resilience in your kitchen, especially when trucking tariffs or blackouts threaten, the humble canned veggie or fruit is nothing short of essential. But if you think that's flexible, wait until the next item. It's something almost everyone forgets, until it's gone completely. Item number 7. Canned meat and tuna. Alright, listen up. This one's non-negotiable. When chaos hits and fresh meat disappears faster than you can blink, canned meats like chicken, tuna, or even beef become literal lifelines. The U.S. Department of Agriculture and other emergency preparedness resources agree. Low-acid canned goods, which include canned meats, can stay safe for 2 to 5 years or even longer, as long as the can isn't damaged. That's not just shelf life, that's peace of mind when everything else faltered. Nutrition-wise, canned meat delivers ready-to-eat protein, essential fats and calories with zero cooking required. Gov explicitly lists ready-to-eat canned meats among its suggested emergency food supplies. Here's something that hits home. During the pandemic panic, folks who couldn't get fresh groceries relied heavily on canned tuna and chicken. A family I spoke with said that when their supermarket's meat section was empty, those pantry cans were what kept their meals and their sanity intact. Tuna sandwiches, chicken tacos, even emergency casserole, whatever you could stretch. Even veteran preppers say, with a can opener, canned meat lets you build meals without heat, without fresh ingredients. Just pull them out, open them, and you're feeding your body what it needs. It's not glamorous, but in a food crisis, practicality becomes your greatest comfort. So if you're stocking up smart, don't skip canned meat. When the fresh case is empty and stress is sky high, that can you pull from the pantry could be your kitchen's MVP. Think that's flexible? Wait until you see the next item. Something people regret forgetting only when it's gone completely. Item number 8. Cooking oil. Okay, let's talk about something that might sound ordinary, cooking oil, but trust me, in a true emergency, it becomes kitchen gold. Fats aren't just flavor, experts say, they're calorie powerhouses during crisis mode. When stress and exhaustion hike your energy needs sky high. Picture this. The lights go out, restocking trucks are delayed, and your bland rice and beans just aren't cutting it. That's when oil matters. You need something to saute, bake, stretch meals, or even liven up a dull broth. Without it, everything tastes flat and your morale tanks. Here's why storage matters. In the world of pantry staples, oil has an expiry problem. Vegetable oils typically last around 2 years if stored unopened in a cool, dark place, and then they start going rancid. Saturated fats like coconut oil or shortening can last even longer, especially when kept airtight. Storage experts stress that heat, light, and oxygen are your enemies. Keep your bottles sealed in a dark cupboard, not above the stove. I once talked with a neighbor who weathered a 2-day blackout. Their pantry held dry goods, but cooking just didn't work without oil. When they found a nearly hidden bottle, they were able to fry potatoes. It wasn't gourmet, but it fed the kids and lifted everyone's spirits. So here's the bottom line. Cooking oil is often forgotten, until you desperately miss it. Keep 2 to 3 bottles on rotation. Use one now. Keep one for next and one just stored away. Your future self will thank you. Mini hook. Think you're nearly ready? Stay tuned. Item number 9 is something nearly invisible in the pantry, yet irreplaceable when it's gone. Item number 9. Honey. Okay, let me share why honey isn't just a sweet treat. It's the secret survival ally you'll never regret stocking up on. The USDA confirms that while honey may taste its best within the first 12 months, it remains safe to eat indefinitely when stored properly. No kidding. That means those jars in your pantry right now could still be golden decades from today. Scientists even point to low moisture, high sugar content, and natural acidity that make honey virtually impossible for bacteria or fungi to survive. Here's a moment that sticks with me. Archaeologists found honey in ancient Egyptian tombs, thousands of years old, and still perfectly edible. That kind of shelf life, that's practically immortality in a jar. But honey goes way beyond longevity. It's a quick energy boost when you're scrambling. Just a spoonful of honey gives you around 64 calories, perfect for stress-fueled survival scenarios when every bit counts. Need a soothing remedy for a sore throat? Honey's natural antibacterial and antioxidant properties make it a go-to, even when medicine runs out. I've heard from preppers who say a jar of honey is the first thing they grab when stores go dry, because it's comfort, medicine, energy, and even barter currency all in one. So here's the bottom line. Honey isn't optional. It's your pantry's hidden powerhouse. Fuel, healing, and long-term security, all rolled into golden syrup. Think you've covered everything? Wait until you hear our bonus tip next, something tiny in your kit that could mean survival. or regret. So let's step back. You've got rice, beans, peanut butter, oats, flour, canned veggies, canned meat, oil, and honey. That's 9 essentials, all available at Aldi, all affordable right now. But here's the truth. They won't stay affordable forever. When the next crisis hits, whether it's supply chain collapse, inflation, or a natural disaster, these shelves will clear out faster than you can blink. So the question is, will you be one of the people standing in an empty store wishing you'd prepared? Or will you already have what your family needs tucked safely in your pantry? The choice is yours. If this video gave you something to think about, share it with a friend who needs the wake-up call. And tell me in the comments, would you survive 3 months with what you have right now? Because at the end of the day, survival isn't about panic. It's about preparation. And the best time to prepare is now.